Welcome to the third episode of the Ask Vishwas show. I'm super excited to bring you yet another exciting episode. In this episode, we are going to take you on a trip. Yes, that's right, we're going to take you on a trip of inspiration, or rather, what I call as finding inspiration. When anybody asks me, how do you find inspiration? And my answer is always it is travel. Whenever you don't have ideas, whenever you need inspiration, whenever you need to find even a muse, I always recommend you take a trip. And the more uncharted the journey is, the more adventurous and the better it is. Okay, something that is enriching, fulfilling. You go on a ride, you go on a trip, you meet some strangers, and you learn some very unexpected things from them. Things that you never even imagine, even in your wildest dreams. And those things start happening around you. And you are eating some different cuisines, and those cuisines are opening up different things in your mind. The sensations, the environment, the culture, and the language, everything is adding to you as a person. And you are becoming a better and better person with every trip that you're taking. And every time you look back in your life, what is that you remember? It's always the journeys, it's always the trips and those incidents that you pick up through the way. That is what you remember. Do you remember, going to an office or college or a mundane day? No, you don't remember that. After 10 years, when you look back, you remember a trip that I took to Dubai, or I went to Paris. I spent a night in London. I did something amazing. I met somebody really cool in a metro, station somewhere, or on a plane next to me. I had somebody like really amazing who gave me this inspiring, amazing anecdotes of life, which I still remember, and because of which I'm a person who I am right now. So today I'm going to share with you some of those 2-3 stories that inspired me and the kind of lessons that I picked up. Amazing lessons, and these lessons came in a very practical way, in a way that I could never would have imagined. So today I'm going to take you down the memory lane and some very very cool and exciting stories. So stay tuned till the end. Do not log off till the end. Okay, stick tuned. During the COVID times, I had the opportunity to visit Harshil. Harshil is this valley which is so beautiful, and it is very close to the Gangotri. And on the way to Gangotri, we thought that we're going to take a pit stop at Harshil, and we decided we're going to camp there for a couple of days. And it was such a beautiful valley. We have like mountains all the four sides, and huge mountains with snow capped. They're like almost kissing the sky every time, the clouds touching them, and in between that, you have this Bhagirathi, the Ganga that becomes Ganga later on, is kind of starting as Bhagirathi, and it is so pure, and it's coming directly from the melting glaciers, and it's so cold, and the wind and the air is so cool, and I just love the whole idea of being there. It was so pristine, and I forgot everything else that was going on in my entire life that time. And the best part about Harshil is that it is maintained by the army. It is so amazing, so many things happening in Harshil, like you are basically in the midst of the army, so you can see the army tanks going on, and then there are a lot of trucks bringing in some supplies, and then you have there are some repair works going on, some of the artillery guns, and you actually feel that what army is trying to do in order to protect the border. And the China border is extremely close to that, the base that they have there, so that also acts to the whole aura of the place, that the army is there in midst of this Himalayas, and you have this cool, water coming in from the glaciers. It is just beautiful. And during one of these, after we came back from Gangotri, we went on a trek. And on that trek, when I was coming down the hill, I saw few of these trees that are there. And these trees were looking like burnt. They were like hideous to look at. Completely burnt. And I was like very confused to look at them. I was like, what these are? And when I went nearby, when I asked my family and friends, basically they told me these are nothing but the apple trees. And I was shocked. How can apple tree look so hideous in nature? I mean, it's like burnt, charred, basically. Absolutely no life whatsoever. When I went down and when I saw everything that is happening there, right, I was like, oh my god, how can an apple tree look like this? And I was asking them, is it like lightning has struck these trees, and is it like, should we actually like cut this off? And they laughed at me. They said, no, this is how apple tree is. And when I saw down there in that orchard, I could see a lot of apples in the ground. A lot of these apples down the ground. And when I went there and I was checking out what is happening. And then my wife, she went and then she picked up one of these apples. And then she just wiped it like this. And then she took a bite. And she just looked at me. She's like, Vishwas, you need to taste this. You have to taste it. And I was reluctant, I didn't want to pick up something from the ground and, taste something. But then reluctantly, I took the apple. And then I tasted it. And you will not believe, I was amazed. It was the best apple I've ever eaten in my entire life. The best. And I cannot even imagine, I cannot even express myself how amazing the taste was. It was sweet. It was just heavenly taste. I still have that taste in my mind. When I close my eyes, I can still feel that apple and the taste of that apple. And I looked around. And at that point in time, something struck me. I just sat down and I started looking at the trees, and I looked at the apple and I was biting the apple, and this whole thing went on in my mind. And at every juncture in my life, at any given point in time, if something like this happens to me, I always introspect and I was thinking, what is happening here? How things are happening? I always do some kind of introspection. I looked at the apple tree and this thought occurred to me that this is what life is. A hideous looking tree. It looks so hideous right at this point in time. But come spring, this tree starts to blossom. It starts to bear fruits, and it gives you the best fruit in the world. That's an apple. And now at this point in time, when you look at it, it looks dilapidated. It is looking like a lightning has struck it. And it looks like completely charred. What does this mean? It means that basically in life, you might go to the brink of disaster, but you have the ability to come back like a phoenix and emerge successful. A tree that looking hideous right now, has lost everything right now at this point in time, is basically a preparation for the spring that is coming next. You might think, okay, now the life is looking like impossible for me to come back to. I am really upset with everything else. I'm really in a very depressed situation right now. I have become bankrupt right now. I am going through a lot of struggles right now. But you have the ability to spring back to life, and the apple tree that day showed me that no matter how harsh the conditions are in your life, you can come back, you can be that kind of a phoenix, and you can give those kind of fruits in your life to yourself, to your family, to your society, to your friends, to everybody around you, as long as you believe in yourself. And do not give up, no matter how harsh the winter is. You stick around, you basically see it through. Okay, remember what they say. When the going gets tough, it's the tough who get going. So this apple tree and the Harshil trip gave me this life lesson that I can emerge successful no matter what. So this is something that I want to leave you with this thought. And after this break, we're going to come with another story where we're looking at another life lesson that I learned through travel. So stay tuned. This podcast is powered by Goodworks Angel Fund. Goodworks Angel Fund is India's leading early stage VC fund. And for all the entrepreneurs and startups out there, log on to www.goodworksvc.in for your funding requirements. I remember the first time I took a ride in a Tesla car. It was in Hong Kong. I remember it was a few years ago. I went to Hong Kong on a business trip. And when I got down, my hotel had sent me a Tesla with a very, very young driver. And I was actually excited because it was my first time in a Tesla and I wanted to figure out, okay, how it is, the ride experience. I was looking forward to it. But guess what? Instead of the car, the driver came across as something much more special than the Tesla itself. And I'll tell you why. He was very, very amazing guy. Very young, very looking like kind of very fresh guy. And then he was like helping us with the luggage. He picked up and put it in the trunk. Very courteous, and then he basically helped us, into the car. And then when we were riding the whole thing, he was explaining to the, about the features of Tesla and how it works. And he was talking about the engine and what it takes to basically take for the maintenance and everything. He was explaining about Tesla, and he was super excited about the car. And on the way, he spoke about the different things that we can see in Hong Kong and what are the different cuisines we can taste there, what are the best restaurants that are there. Amazing guy. He struck such an amazing rapport, and we were like instantly connected with him. All right. And then when we were talking, he told me that he had a son. And suddenly I was like surprised. I was like, how is it even possible? You look so young. And when I said that, he burst out into a laughter. He was like, am I young? Okay. What do you think my age is? He asked me to guess his age. And I started guessing. So I told him that you must be around 25 or 28 at the max. That's what you look like. Because extremely young guy. I mean, when you look at him, he's extremely young, and the kind of, even the attitude, right? The attitude is what defines the age, right? So he was like extremely courteous, and he was that, had a lot of energy and stuff. I said 25 to 28 must be your age. And then he laughed again. He said that basically his son's age is 25. And I was like, oh my God, how is it even possible that you have a son who is 25 years of age? I was like, then what is your age? And he told me he's 51 years old. And I was like, oh my God, this is impossible. Then I asked him, how is it possible that you are 51 and you still manage to look like this? And then he looked at me, and then he's like, with a very, very heavy Chinese accent, he's like, what is age? Age is just a number, right? Is what he told me. And I still remember it, and it is basically stuck in my mind forever. And I truly believe, when I look back, what he showed me was that age is in fact a number. Because most people throughout their lives are always thinking that they're old or they're getting old. Everybody. When you look at your parents, your grandparents, your uncles, just look at them. By the time they hit 40, they had given up on their lives. They had thought about retirement, and they were thinking of basically like buying a retirement home and all of that. Nobody. Like, even if you look at people even in the previous generation, their entire life they used to work basically to come and settle in the age of like say 40, 45, and they're done with their lives. But now, truly I'm telling you that when I look at people now, how we look at people who are exercising, maintaining their lifestyle, the dreams are like just not going down. Dreams are being created in the age of 40, 45, 50, 55. Just another day, a 55-year-old, he had written to me. He told me that I just started my company, my first company I started just now, Vishwas, and he told me that he follows me on social media, and every time I talk about age, and this very story I had written about my first Tesla ride, he had read this and he had commented on this back then. And he told me that after reading your Tesla story, I went back and I started thinking about it. And one day I started my own company, and at the age of 55, and I have to thank you for that. So I was just very, very happy that this incident that I'm talking to you right now, this inspired somebody to start a company at the age of 55, because I just kept this one simple story and I told them that, hey guys, age is just a number. What you believe is what happens with your body. Okay, so basically, if you believe that you're young, your attitude towards life is like that. You eat great food, you exercise, you basically go on trips, you de-stress yourself, you feel great. You wipe out 10-20 years of your basically life. That no, if you are 60, you start looking at like you're 40. That's what the whole point is all about. So the Tesla guy, the driver, the chauffeur, he taught me the most important lesson of my life, that age does not matter. What matters is how you feel in your heart and how you go to live your life. Do not care about some chronology or some stuff that society has thrown at you, that at the age of 40 you need to do this, at the age of 50 you need to do this, at the age of 60 you need to retire, at the age of 70 you're going to die, or something like that, right? It's all bullshit. So basically, I think what you need to do is forget about what the society is telling. Just focus on you and your ambitions or your goal, and your balanced life is what you need to look at and lead your life. I'm not saying that, okay, you just need to like go on a run or a trek when you're like 70 years and you fall somewhere. No, so that is not the point. The point is that in your mind, if you truly believe that you're young, it will manifest into something that makes you feel that you're young, and everything around you start looking greener and happier, rather than being boring and mundane and like you're just hanging your boots and retiring, right? So always remember that as long as you have that clear intention of living a great life, age is just a number, and do not succumb to the societal pressures. Live your life happily and enjoy it. So thanks to Tesla guy, and I hope you guys can write to me about your experiences and what you think about age, and whether age should be a limiting factor. Please write to me. I want to listen to your story. Maybe one of these days I'm going to be talking about you and your story in one of my podcasts, or maybe have you as one of my guests. So I'm looking forward to your stories. This podcast is powered by Goodworks Cowork. Goodworks Cowork is Bangalore's #1 co-working space. So log on to www.goodworks.in for all your co-working and managed offices requirement. During one of my visits to Mumbai, I landed in the airport and I was going towards the Sahara Star Hotel. I had to check in there, and on the way I was just walking to the hotel, and on the way I saw this guard who is trying to help everybody like a Samaritan. Although he was a guard, the attitude was that of a Samaritan. Okay, I could see that he was talking to like a bunch of these tourists, and then he was trying to tell them where the Ola and Uber stop is. He was trying to guide them. But I could see that the group did not listen to him and they were going in another direction. So this guard, he followed them and went and convinced and made sure those people came back and went in the right direction. So when I looked at it, I was really amazed, okay, and I was really, really happy with this guy's attitude, what he was trying to do. I asked him, why did you go out of the way to go and convince them that they had to go in this direction? What was all about? He told me basically that he smiled and he told me that happiness is when people are going in the right direction and people are safe around here. That's my job, isn't it? So that's what I'm trying to do. That's my happiness, is what he told. And I was like really, really happy with his attitude. And after that, he helped me go to the Sahara hotel, and he actually stopped all the vehicles on the road, and then he helped me cross the zebra crossing, and then I went off. And the guy actually left a mark in my mind. I still remember it. And one of the reasons that happened is because that guard, he showed me the very fact that it does not matter what the world thinks about your job. The world might think that you're doing a trivial job. If you're doing a security kind of job, or you are basically a house help, or you're a driver, or any kind of other menial job, is what you think. Basically, you yourself can think about that, or the world can think about that, right? But if you do your job in such a fashion that you're leaving a mark in people's hearts and people's lives, that is how you achieve greatness. That is how you achieve greatness. And that Samaritan, that guard, showed me this. So always remember that. It does not matter what your job is currently. You might be doing anything, any walk of life at this point in time. But perform your job in such a way that nobody else in the world can do it that way. Perform it to the best of your ability. So people look up to you no matter how you do it. You could be cleaning a desk, but clean it in such a fashion that it is spotless. You could be driving a car, drive it in such a fashion that it's driven really, really well, and you are very courteous to everybody, your passengers and everyone. You could be a software engineer, but do your job in such a way that basically you're questioning the status quo. You're basically innovating. You're delivering everything on time. You're basically highlighting risks ahead of time. You're communicating with the customers. You're delivering amazing code. You could be a singer. Innovation. Anything you're trying to do, any walk of life, do it in such a way that you achieve greatness in it. And that is something that this Samaritan taught me. And this is the kind of stories that I'm continuing to talk, and I'll continue to talk in my podcast. And I'm also going to be highlighting a lot of those stories that my listeners and people who follow me on social media, they bring to me. Some of the travel stories that they have got, some of the life experiences that they have got, I want to bring them here. I want to basically highlight them on the story, because this podcast is not only for celebrities. It's not about just glorifying people who already achieved something, but it's also about people from every strata of life, from every walks of life. It's about taking inspirations from them, because I truly get inspired by everybody around me. Not only by celebrities, not only by politicians, not only by people who are being written about in the newspapers and blogs and other, social media reels and posts and stuff like that. I get inspired by everybody. Even this guard in Mumbai airport, he inspired me to do my job better than anybody else around me. Not because I want something from the world, but because it is my happiness. I want to make myself happy. That's what I want to do. That's how I live my life. That's how I do my work. So I hope that you also become like this Samaritan, and you are doing something that makes you happy and also helps people around you, makes this world a better place. I think that is the best way, most beautiful way that you can lead your life. And with that, I'm going to end this episode, and we're going to see you in the next episode, and with something amazing, some other deep conversation, something that we can talk about stories. And I'm going to be keeping my podcast all about stories. We're going to talk about different stories and something that we can get inspired from, or have some kind of an engaging discussion, or even entertainment for that matter. Because laughter is the best medicine, and I believe that we always need to have a smile. Every time you walk into anybody's room or go to an office, you have a smile in on your face, and that itself brings a very positive vibe all around you. So I think with that smile, I'm going to take your leave, and I'm going to catch you up very soon. So take care.